Hi, hello, and welcome to my channel, friends. This is your Govindraj. Thank you very much for watching my previous videos and all your likes and share and also comments. And I am sure you are already thinking about which definition and also how to align your compensation and also what is the impact. So this all you are doing, I know. And I want to give you some food for thought, and I would like to give you my thoughts on this, and probably it will help you in proper taking proper decision. So we have been hearing in the media and also in lectures of legal experts that the cost of the employee will go up in the hands of the employer and the take home of the employee will reduce. So let's examine and find out whether this is true, or is the law asking us to restructure the compensation, or is restructure really required, and what is the reason for all these things, and is there a way out without the restructure of your wage components or salary structure. And we will ask and try to understand the answers to many more questions like this. So first of all, let's take it out. What is the reason for all these things, or this conflict or confusion or ambiguity? What is the reason for all these things? See, the wage definition in the labor codes has been revised, and it contains two parts. One is the inclusion part, and the second one is the exclusion part, and of course there is a proviso. And the first part of the wage definition includes all remuneration which is payable as part of terms of employment, including basic, dearness allowance and retaining allowance. And the second part provides or excludes 11 types of remuneration or allowances. See, the proviso which is provided to the wage definition is an adjustment factor for the portion of wages in the inclusion part, and this is the main culprit and reason for all the confusion, ambiguity, and so far whatever the statements which are being made by the experts. And the proviso in all the codes is similar, and let me read it for you how it reads. This reads, provided that for calculating the wages under this class, if payments made by the employer to the employee under subclasses A to I exceeds one of or such other percent as may be notified by the central government of the all remuneration calculated under this class, the amount which exceeds such one of or the percent so notified shall be deemed as remuneration and shall be accordingly added in wages under this class. See, the exclusions from A to I as per this provision are basically bonus, the value of facilities like house accommodation and provident fund or pension fund contribution, conveyance allowance, any expenses or allowance paid to meet special expenses considering the nature of employment, and HRA, house rent allowance, any remuneration payable under any award or settlement, overtime allowance, and any commission payable. So these are the exclusions which are to be considered for the purpose of this proviso. And moreover, as the exclusions are now specifically defined, any allowance, if it cannot be fitted into exclusion and it is part of terms of employment, it goes to the first part or inclusion part of the wages. And the proviso itself gives two interpretation. One, which most of the experts, most of the speakers agree with this, is if the total of the exclusion exceeds 50% of all the remuneration, now which can be called as total CTC, then such excess to be added back to wages in the first part or inclusion part. And that should be the basis to extend or calculate social security benefits, bonus, notice pay, encashment of leaves, and all other kind of benefits which are being extended in the labor codes, as all these codes have the same definition. And this is quite sensible, as the wages in the included part is expected to be 50% of the total CTC, as employers tend to keep basic wages as less as possible to avoid the higher social security contribution or higher burden on the employer. Now, if we take an example to understand this definition, for example, take an example that the total remuneration or CTC of any employee works out to rupees 10,000. Take an example. So the amount in the part, take an example that the 4,000, which for convenience we can call it as basic and DA. And also take that the total of A to I, which is as per the proviso, works out to 6,000 rupees. And the one half of all the remuneration, or for simplicity, 50% of the total CTC works out to rupees 5,000. So therefore, A to I amount, which is all the total of the exclusions, amounts exceed by rupees 1,000. How have we arrived this? 6,000 minus 5,000 will lead to 1,000 rupees. Now the law says that add this rupees 1,000 to the wages in the inclusion part, or consider it as wages for the purpose of the code, whether it is social security code or wage code. So therefore, in this example, the revised wage for the inclusion part will become rupees 5,000, which is necessarily 50% of your total remuneration or total CTC. See, another interpretation can also be given considering the remuneration as what you arrive at wages in the inclusion part after taking out or separating all the remuneration and applying the proviso formula to arrive at the new wages. So this interpretation is quite complex, impractical, and difficult to follow. Therefore, let's ignore at the moment and go with the first interpretation, which looks to be the intent of the law. And now let's take another question which we are talking about today. There is a restructure is required. There is a take-home salary is going to reduce and the burden of the employer is going to increase. All this we are talking about it. So considering this, let's take another question. Is the restructure of the salary is required, or the wage components or the compensation is required? What are the problems with the restructure if at all you want to do it? Now, if you look at the text of the law is not telling you to restructure the compensation in line with the wage definition. It is only asking us or telling, consider the wages as per the wage definition for the purposes of the code, more particularly social security benefits, bonus, encashment of earned leave, and all other benefits which are provided under the labor codes. So if you are able to manage this and take care of the benefits accordingly, then you may not need to restructure the wages. However, if you feel that there is a practical difficulty in following this and achieving compliance with the law, then you can proceed to restructure. So if at all you decide to restructure, you will encounter certain issues while doing it. Let me tell you what are the issues. If you have to restructure the wages of employees, can you do it unilaterally is the question. If there is no right you have reserved in the terms of appointment, you cannot tweak or alter the salary structure as you like and whenever you like, because it can be termed as violation of employment terms and you may land into disputes. And even you are successful to restructure because you have reserved the right to tweak or with the consent of the employee, you will encounter another problem. See, the proviso logic still may be looked into while arriving at the wages, and then you will get into a cycle from which you may not be able to escape even after the restructure. So if at all you have to escape from the proviso rider, you have to arrive at an ideal structure by which you don't get into cycle again. See, the additional burden out of this will be at the cost of the employer, definitely sure. But the additional costs are going to be there anyhow with the revised wage definition. But the additional structure to escape from the proviso may lead to some more costs in the hands of the employer. And moreover, you have to give due consideration to income tax law and tax liability in the hands of employee before you decide to restructure, because the taxable income definition is not the same as the wage definition under the code. But it is not difficult to arrive at one such structure to escape from the proviso to wage definition if you are prepared to do it. But necessarily you have to align with the law by taking care of the benefits or purpose of the code as intended or by implementing appropriate structure. Now let's take another question which is related to it. Does this lead to less take home by the employee? See, the answer to this question may be yes and no, because currently it is only impacting the employee by way of excess deduction in case of provident fund. All other impacts are only affecting the employer, like gratuity, bonus, earned leave, and all other benefits. However, there is a wage ceiling in case of the provident fund. As long as this wage ceiling is going to be there, and only the employees whose wage component, which is basically inclusion part or basic and A, is less than the wage ceiling, their deduction is going to be more and not for others. Therefore, it depends on the employee pay levels or what kind of structure he has got. Moreover, he is nothing to lose because this goes to his retirement fund and it comes back finally to him. However, the low income group may feel the pinch by getting less take home. Let's accept that. And now let's take another important question. What are the impacts on the employer, which we already touched upon it? See, whether you do restructure or manage it without restructuring, there will be an escalation in cost only if the employer has kept low basic wages, which we can call the wages in the inclusion part for the purposes of the labor code, because this new wage definition or this new wage to be considered for the purpose of all the codes, including provident fund, gratuity, bonus, earned leave, wages, etc. So you can note one more important thing currently, because the ESI considers every component as wages for the purposes of contribution. Now, with the new definition, the ESI contribution is payable only on 50% of all the remuneration that needs to be arrived. So therefore, you should also keep this impact, either higher impact or lesser impact. You need to, keep this in mind while arriving at your components or restructure or whatever it is. Now, let me take my final question on this. Can the government still correct this anomaly in the rules? This is the last question which we will address in this video. See, answer to this question is maybe yes, because the excess of 50% criteria can be changed by the central government by prescribing a different percentage for this purpose, because it had retained the power to prescribe such other percent by issuing in the notification. But if you ask me my view, anything the government does on this again will lead to further scratching our head. If at all the government wants to solve this issue, the wage definition needs to be amended after consulting the HR and legal experts. I'm not trying to confuse you all, but only giving this thought process before you decide to restructure. And I know these are not easy to follow and implement, but there is always a way of doing it and achieving compliance with or without additional cost in the hands of the employer. So you can reach me out if you want to get in touch with me, or if you need any support or any clarification. So I will provide my coordinates, and in previous videos also I have provided my coordinates. And thank you for watching my video, and see you soon all in the new video. If this has helped you, if this has enhanced your knowledge, please do subscribe, share, like and comment, and I will be happy to come back to your comments. Thank you very much and see you soon.